All right, here's a quick review of the Hapbee. I'll go with a unboxing. It comes in a really nice box. Kind of reminds me of an iPhone, kind of minimalist packaging. Let's open it up. You'll see what it comes with is the Hapbee band. And they say there's a stand in here, but I sure as heck couldn't find one, except if you account for this little paper thing. But it's packaged in a little band, and below it are all the little doodads you need to work it. There's getting started with the Hapbee, how to download and install the software you need to run it, because you've got to use your phone to do this. Here's some information about the Hapbee, which contains some of the evidence that they claim makes this thing legitimate and not just a scam. Comes with a really nice Hapbee bag, so you can carry it and I suppose travel with it. And that's pretty much it. So let's go into the review of how it actually works. All right, so I'm a little skeptical whenever I hear about a miracle product that claims to fix a broad range of human psychological problems based on quote-unquote research that they sponsored that just happens to support, the product that they're selling. I'm even more concerned about a product that makes claims about quasi-medical treatments for things like anxiety, sleep, and mental well-being, even though the parent company marketing this device claims that it's a wellness product and not a health treatment product, and therefore is not subject to FDA regulations. If it really does treat these things, why isn't it FDA reviewed? That's a big red flag in my opinion. But Pulse EMF does have some credible research behind it. For example, a study by Paolucci in 2020 wrote that there was sufficient evidence that pulsed EM can produce an effect and help people manage pain. But those were very high levels, and it said nothing about enhancing mood or alertness. An article in Psychology Today entitled "Is New Technology the Future Mental Health?" noted that there was evidence and some legitimate research that explores the use of magnetic fields to produce biological responses for things like pain and depression, but stated, and I quote, "It's important to note that at this point in time there is no scientific evidence that micro RF energy can produce changes in mood, despite the fact that there's a growing body of research that shows that it can create a biological effect," unquote. National Institute of Health also warned in NBK 208988 that there's a dubious therapeutic effect to RF energy, and in fact, it can be associated with things like fatigue, difficulty in concentrating, and increased frequency of headaches. So you have to be a little careful about something that's this new. A study by Shen in the Journal of Frontiers in Psychology observed that transcranial pulsed current stimulation can help athletes improve their emotional state and reduce fatigue. So the tech does sound promising, but there's a big difference between a high-energy transcranial pulse and a tiny, tiny little RF energy pulse from a USB device hanging around your neck. So it's difficult to know who to believe. And I guess the moral of this story is do your research. The science of gathering opinions regarding medical efficacy is kind of sketchy, right? If I put on a Hapbee at the end of the day and then ask it to help me fall asleep, if I get sleepy, is it because of the Hapbee, or is it because of my belief in the Hapbee? Or do I just get tired at the end of every day? On the other hand, if it works because I believe in the product and that belief makes me sleep better, does it even matter? Placebo effect is valuable even if it's not real, right? The Dumbo's feather was useful to Dumbo even if it really wasn't tied to his ability to fly. So maybe the people at Hapbee have figured out a sequence of pulsed magnetism that positively affects people's moods. Possibly. But there doesn't appear to be a lot of credible research supporting it. But is this science or is it technobabble? And should you part with your money? And I guess that's my big question. This is a lot of money to ask for a device if it's just a placebo. But the folks at Hapbee sent me this device in exchange for a review, so I'll begin a review. I'm not a particularly good sleeper, and I have a watch that monitors my sleep. It tracks things like REM sleep and deep sleep, and I can record it over several weeks. So what I'm going to do is I'll start monitoring my sleep for the next few months, and I'll record when I use the Hapbee and when I don't use the Hapbee, and I'll note differences in my sleep scores on different dimensions. And if it turns out the Hapbee works, I'll come back and review this article and I'll give it a 5-star review, because that would be awesome. And if it doesn't work, I'll probably lower it to a 2-star review. But the key is don't let somebody else do your research for you. Figure it out for yourself, and at the end of the day, make your own decision. As near as I can figure out, at least the electromagnetism claimed by the device aren't harmful to humans, and they're typically less than that are produced by a typical cell phone. So I should be safe in conducting my experiment. But I'll tell you, if my head explodes like one of those scenes from Scanners or the great series The Boys, which is an Amazon series, and you should watch it if you haven't seen it, you'll be sure that if my head explodes, I will deduct points. But my bottom line is be wary and do your research. The concept isn't as far-fetched as it sounds, but even if there is a psychological benefit to pulsed EMF, it doesn't necessarily follow that Hapbee is using the right frequency or intensity. And it's not even sure that it makes a darn bit of difference. But you decide. I hope this helps.